This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Good evening. Welcome to the City Council Ordinance meeting for Monday, November 4th, 6 p.m. I just want to call this meeting to order. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So to start with, we have some meeting minutes that we need to approve. Thank you to Councilor Smith for putting these together. We have two joint meeting minutes that we had with the planning board for February 27th, 2024, and October 15th, 2024. And we also have a regular ordinance meeting for October 15th, 2024. And I'll take a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Second. If I'm the one that wrote them, can I?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Any questions, concerns about those? No. Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. So we approve those. So the first order of business, we are going to send the amendments to section 10.096B regarding temporary election signage to read as follows. I don't want to read the current. The proposed change for election signs will read: political signs are allowed at any time of the year. No permit is required. And this is what was approved by the planning board. Do we have any further discussion about that? No? Great. So I'll take a motion to accept that change.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Great. And then at the meeting, they did want to make one small change to to add the definition of surveyor to section 2.1 to read as follows: surveyor, a surveyor registered in Massachusetts by the Board of Registration of Professional Engineers and Land Surveyors with a current license, which was a small change to what we had previously. Any questions or conversation about that?
Just for the sake of note taking, are we asking for this second item to also be moved to the full council?
Yes.
Okay.
Other questions? All right, so I'll take a motion to accept this definition with the amendments to be moved to the.
So moved.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. So we will move these to Wednesday's meeting. President Gomez is here, so he has that. Hi, Tom. Are you there? Can you hear us?
I'm here if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Great.
Perfect timing. So we were just going to discuss the changes or continue our conversation regarding the changes to Division 3 of the Council on Aging. I know that you sent me an email, but it would be good to share with Councilor Smith and Councilor Derby what you had found out. So I will turn that over to you.
Great, thanks. I had requested of the city clerk a document that she has where it outlined any restrictions on boards and committees. This is where we had picked up on the current residency requirement for Council on Aging board members. And so she gave me a list, which I believe is all of the various boards and committees in the city. And what I had sent Councilor Denham was sort of a check mark kind of thing on the ones that do not require or do not have a residency requirement, and some of them that do. Some of them that do are by statute. They're required to be a resident. But for example, here are the boards and committees in Easthampton that do not have a residency requirement. Board of Assessors, Board of Health, Board of Public Works, Conservation Commission, EDIC, Parks and Recreation Commission, Planning Board, and Zoning Board. So one of the concerns I heard at the last meeting was, what if someday, if this was open-ended and there was no restriction on the number of board members that could come from out of town, what if we had a complete board of non-residents? When I look at this quickly that I got from the city clerk, it appears that could potentially happen on any of these boards I just listed. So, and I have to believe from the dates on this ordinance about the membership of Council on Aging, it dates back to 1957, 1967, when some of the changes were made. So I don't know, maybe in that time period, it was a concern, it was an issue. I don't know that to be an issue today. I did report back to Councilor Denham that one of the other questions raised at a previous meeting was, would it affect any grants? And the director assured me that it would not affect any grants. And just one last note on that. Again, I've been on this board longer than I want to count. I can recall at least 3 directors in that time frame that did not live in Easthampton, and I can assure you that those directors had the best interest of Easthampton seniors, in their work efforts to run the Council on Aging.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you for that, Tom. Questions regarding the items that Mr. Brown brought up. Actually, Board Member Brown. Any questions that people have?
I really appreciate you looking into that and finding out what the other boards we're looking at, because it's just good information to have, and it situates what you're asking of the board a little bit better for me. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Great. So I think the other item that we were really discussing primarily was the number of board members on the council who could be non-residents of Easthampton. And so I think within what is proposed, we have 3, and I feel like where we had later kind of settled on was 1. Do people have thoughts about that? Do people want to stay with 1? How have people had more thoughts since the last meeting?
I think hearing the information that the other boards don't have any residency requirement makes me pause just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes me also think that, are we being unfairly scrutinizing if we impose a limitation? I am fine with a limitation. I just don't want it to seem like we're imposing a limitation on the Council on Aging and not looking to be equally as stringent with other boards. So that's one thing that just sits in in the back of my head right now. But I do think that I would be comfortable with 1. I would be comfortable with 3. So I think that was it was good information, because now it's even got me thinking more.
Yeah, for me, I guess it brings up the bigger question if we should look at all of the other board memberships and rewrite the ordinance to be more specific. If we're going through that for the Council on Aging, it just makes sense that we would do that for all of them.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
So I think that that's something that we will propose, to send to council, for us to review that. And, so I think that that is something that is important, because in looking at what Tom sent me, or
Mhm.
board member Brown, I was taken aback just a little bit about that. So I think that that was very helpful information, and certainly something that we need to be thinking about. In terms of what that membership would look like, I know you said you're okay with 1 or 3. What about you, Counselor Smith? Have you landed anywhere specific?
I think before this, I would have been more with 1. After this, I'm okay with the 3,
Okay.
just based on the information that was put forth.
Okay.
I also think that if we are going to look at other boards and committees, it might make, if we have a little bit more wiggle room,
Mhm.
and especially if we're looking to apply the same standard across all of them at
Mhm.
some point, it might make sense, because there are some boards that where if we don't have membership, like it's, a major problem, like planning board is going to, be a big deal.
Right.
The Board of Public Works. So, maybe if we look at 3, that's something that we could apply across.
Mhm.
And that might be like alleviate any potential issues that we could have with not filling those positions.
Okay.
So it's just a thought.
Okay. Councilmember Brown, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just to elaborate on that point that Councilor Derby made, thinking of the Board of Public Works, I think the last I knew that was a 3-member board. So if we said 3, it's going to be 100%. Maybe it's better to go with fractions and say 1/3 of a board. So in our case, it would be 3. And just to make one other point, this doesn't mean that we're going to actively go out and look for members from out of town, but it gives us the option of bringing on other professionals such as bank managers that tend, I was there forever, and I lived in Easthampton, but the current manager at Easthampton Savings, for example, lives in Amherst, but she spends more of her life in Easthampton than she does in Amherst. I don't know about the manager of Florence Bank or other professionals like that may not live in Easthampton, who could be a good asset and a good addition to a board. The other thing it prevents from happening is like in the case of that long-term member, lived in Easthampton his entire life and happened to build a new house and move to West Hampton and had to get off the board. It would prevent that kind of thing from happening in the future too. So maybe 1/3 is the way to go.
I think that's a good idea.
President Gomez, I know you were a part of putting together these changes to bring to council. Do you have thoughts or?
Yes, I do. First is, I still believe 1 would be enough, but that's my opinion. Why? What we are trying to resolve here, we don't have any issues here. What we want is to be more open to at least let someone who already spent a lot of time in Easthampton to participate in the process that we have in our city, right? But we don't have any issue finding people to serve at the COA or any other community, because we have people almost every meeting that our mayor is being appointed to those committees, right? For those reasons, that's why I still believe that 1 will be enough. I will respect if this committee send a recommendation of 3 in 1/3, because I agree with Mr. Brown that instead of using numbers and that way we do use fractions, because if 1/3 will be more fair than 3 members, because so their committee could have more impact if we open in that case, right? I'm really always to be think, and I'm gonna say that because Councilor Derby is always thinking about out of the box, right? And I can see that some people they move from Easthampton and go to another town. Other towns have COAs too, and they can serve on others in those boards in that town, right? So for those reasons, I believe the one will be enough. We have people in the community willing to serve, willing to participate, and I'm okay with one member of the community who works in Easthampton to participate in the COA. But I still believe one will be enough in my perspective, in my opinion. But again, if the committee decides that 3 will be good enough, I'm okay to vote in favor of it if that's what the committees decide.
Mhm. Thank you, Mr. President. I think something to also remember is that if there are openings, potentially there are multiple people who could apply for that. It also has to come at the recommendation of the mayor. And also it has to be approved by council, right, through the appointments process. So given what President Gomez has just said, do people have additional thoughts?
I think, one potential piece is, I like I said, I think I'm fine with 1/3. That seems reasonable to me. But maybe we add in there that if there's multiple candidates, that there's preference given to a candidate that is from Easthampton. That could be another way around that piece, because if 2 people are competing, it probably would make sense to have the Easthampton resident. Like I see this as a stopgap in situations in which we've had before, where we struggle to find, members to be on a committee, and we might have a great candidate from another town that works here, that and that could, save us. But I also see this probably not being used all that much, because I think President Gomez is right that we do have people that are willing to volunteer, help out. So I think that's great. So,
Councilor Smith, do you have additional thoughts? Not to put you on the spot.
And no, I mean, I have a lot to think about here. I don't feel that I'd be ready tonight to make a vote on this. I just really need to sit with everyone's comments and everything. And because if this is opening a larger conversation, I don't want to open that conversation without actually looking at the different committees and stuff. And for the purpose of this one conversation, I think we do need to be able to talk about consistency with the other committees as well.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Do we feel comfortable giving this, we meet this week, if we were to meet again, like next week, do we feel like this is something that we could feel comfortable making a decision on? I don't want to keep the Council on Aging, holding too long, but I do want to, and also, President Gomez?
Thank you. You just make a comment. Is any opening there is, because you say you don't want to hold that too long because.
Oh, no, I was just
wondering
thinking
if
it was, are there, actually, I think there was an opening. Yeah, I think there was an opening.
This one? He should know.
Is there an opening right now?
I believe there's an opening, but I believe there's a candidate coming forward
Okay.
through the
Thank you.
process.
All right.
Thank you
That's,
for the info.
appreciate that. So I guess we could, it doesn't have to be next week, right? So we could wait. I'm just also aware of how long we've had it on the agenda too, or on the agenda. But
I'm sorry, but I didn't want to put it in the spot again. If you want to next week, that's okay. I just want to know if there was an opening or not. That's what my question was.
yeah, no, that I thought there was an opening, but we don't have to hold. We can give it longer time. But in terms of when we might meet next, do we have any information? Not to jump ahead, but the shrubbery, have we heard back from the attorney regarding? Okay, so that was the other thing that I thought we might have that, so I was wanting to move forward with that.
And I'm pretty sure we should get it back next week.
Okay, so maybe we'll give it some more time then, because I wanted to kind of put all of those together.
Yep.
Councilmember Brown, are you okay with giving us a little bit more time to think this through a little bit and also take into consideration how this might impact other committee membership?
Absolutely. I mean, we were basically forward thinking and trying to straighten this out when we had that incident that happened. It's actually probably 3 or 4 months ago now that we lost that board member who moved to Westhampton. But when he had to get off the board, that's what prompted me to look into this ordinance governing a board membership. And so we're just trying to put something in place for the future. The future could be next week. The future could be 3 months from now, just trying to straighten it out. Just one other quick point, Councilor Denham, by going, and I know going by with one or going by a third, it would ensure that there would always be a majority of board members that would be Easthampton residents.
Yes, that is correct. Yep. That is correct. So if we were to, okay, well, it doesn't really matter, but I do think that I know we're unclear about the number right now. In the current proposed change, it says under 2-51, section D, there can be no more than 1/3 of board members that are not Easthampton residents. We would want to also add a qualifier. I'm not sure if it would be E, but that preference has to be given to Easthampton residents if there are multiple candidates, right? So would that be an E, or would that be just a continuation of D?
Probably just, I think we could do an E on that one.
Okay.
That way, just keep it clean.
All right. So we'll do an E on that one. Does that work for you, Councilmember Brown?
Yes, and just one other qualifier that Councilor Smith had raised at the last meeting, we had offered to put in to say that they would have to be a Hampshire County resident. If that just prevents someone, I think, as Councilor Smith had said, who goes to Florida for the winter or something, or lives in Greenfield. Why would you want to be a board member in Easthampton? So we just threw that out. I think I threw that out, Councilor Denham, in an email to you.
Yep.
That was just in response to that question that came up at the last meeting.
Right.
I have a concern about that because our closest neighbor is Holyoke, and that's Hampden County.
Oh.
And if we put Hampshire, we're only talking about the white communities around us, and we are excluding the people of color.
Right. Good point.
So let's leave it out.
Western Mass. Or something.
Western Mass,
Yeah,
right?
something like that.
All right.
So we don't have someone from Florida.
Right.
I agree.
So there can be no more than 1/3 of board members that are not residents, but residents of Western Massachusetts.
Mhm.
Okay. Does that work for you, Councilmember Brown?
That works. Thank you.
All right, great. So we will continue this conversation. If we can anticipate the shrubbery thing next week, could we meet on the 18th or 19th so that we can have that ready before?
I could do the 18th. I can't do the 19th.
Okay.
I could also, well, there's a meeting on the 20th. So.
Right. We could also meet after the 20th. I was just thinking you're not going to be.
I can join the 18 remote. The
Right.
20th, the 19th is my mother's birthday.
But we're not going to do anything on
On the 20th.
Yeah.
So what about the 25th?
Yeah.
What about the 25th?
I can do the 25th.
25th.
You're in-
That's Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, I probably could do the 25th.
You do 25th?
Might be a little sore.
Normally I
whole
have
day getting
appointments at 6 o'clock.
Uh-huh.
And so if I have an appointment, I have to go to that one.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if we can do it a little earlier or a little later.
Or the 26th?
Oh, let's see. 26th. I can't do the 26th.
All right.
But I could do the 27th. Oh, but that's the day before Thanksgiving.
And the-
Yeah, we don't want to do that. Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about Thanksgiving.
We could do Black Friday. There we go.
Okay, so let's go back to the 25th. You might have, could we do 5 on the 25th?
I think I should be okay for 5. Yeah.
All right, let's do 5 o'clock. All right, ordinance. Councilmember Brown, does the 25th at 5 PM work for you?
Which day of the week is that?
That's a
Sorry,
Monday the 25th,
that'll work.
What are we looking at? What time again?
5 PM.
5 p.m.
I would say the 28th, but I think we're all busy that
Yeah.
day.
It's gonna be eating.
Yeah.
Food coma.
Right. All right, great. So we will take this up again on the 25th. And in the meantime, I think we might bring something forward to discuss other board membership as well, that could all be a part of this conversation. So that's very helpful. Great. Anything else for us, Councilmember Brown?
No, I just want to congratulate Councilor Gomez on his election.
Thank
Oh,
you.
sorry, the votes haven't been counted yet. Sorry.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. See you. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Hope it's not close.
Yeah.
Never know.
You never know. Right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Take care. Good night.
I was like this on the say like my face changed.
So back to.
Yeah.
Oh. All right, so we know that the shrubbery, hopefully we'll have some confirmation from the attorney next week. So that might have to come back to us, but if it's not, then we'll just, we obviously send that to council. And then we're still, the Agricultural Commission is meeting in December, so I'll go to that meeting to find out anything about that. Anything else that we need that's on this agenda? Do we need to discuss?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I would say that I should have said something at the joint meeting. I apologize for that because so one of the things that we can do is that once the planning board makes a recommendation and we hear it, we can vote on that recommendation at the meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So I never said that. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to make sure that it was known.
Yep.
Because there was a long time where we would literally wait for the written. And then we finally asked and said, hey, we're there, we hear what the recommendation is. Do we have to wait and make another meeting to,
Mhm.
and they're like, no. The attorney
Okay.
said, no, we're good. We could approve it as soon as we hear what the recommendation is.
Okay.
And I'd never mentioned that, and that's my bad. I apologize for that.
Yeah, no, I thought we had to wait for the report. That's what my
So, and I
understanding was.
realized that, and I was like, oh, I never said anything that
Yep.
is, so that was my
Yeah.
miss on that one.
Okay, and great. And one last thing, it's not a part of the agenda, but we can talk about it since it's not on the agenda. We had removed at the beginning, towards the beginning of the year, the edits that had been, a report that had been regarding the, regarding ordinance. I would
Mhm.
like to bring that back.
Sure.
And for us to start to, obviously, I wasn't a part of that particular process, so I'm not sure where that is. I know that edits were being made, but if there's a way for the three of us to be able to also make contributions to that or
Sure.
to help that process along, I think it'd be really good for us to finish that and to continue to show that commitment that we're moving forward with that.
I think that's good. I think so one of the to catch us up, one of the things that, and I'm struggling to remember what the issues were, but the ones that we didn't complete were complicated.
Mhm.
They were definitely a little bit more nuanced, and at the time we weren't quite sure how to approach a couple of the issues.
Mhm.
So I mean, it'll be good to get some fresh eyes on it.
Yep.
To figure it out and see what we can do.
Okay.
I think there was another reason why we weren't able to get, because we did most of the ones that were straightforward.
Uh-huh.
There was a couple that were less than straightforward.
Okay, so I think that would be good, so we can bring that back to the agenda.
Mhm.
For not this one, but the next one, and so we can bring that back and begin to work on that.
Okay.
Hopefully finish that up. Does that work for everyone?
Sounds good.
Great.
Mhm.
Anything else for the good of the order?
Mhm.
I think so.
No? Great, so I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second?
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great.
I'm fine to second.